Welcome to Emo Gym, an intimate exhibition about vulnerability. We invited 7 Hong Kong artists to confront, dissect, and maybe embrace the vulnerability of our times. The title Emo Gym is short for Emotion Gymnasium. It highlights how the artworks create an experimental space for emotional resonance and explore the multi-layered interrelations between the emotional and the physical. Hi, I'm Erin Lee, curator of the exhibition Emo Gym. In this tour, I invite you to open yourself up. Maybe you will find deep connections with the artworks and your own inner emotions. Together, we will journey through 3 parts: the lounge, the bedroom, and the staircase. Here, at the entrance to the lounge, you already see the first work, Against Step by Yin Sui-fang. It is about surveillance and freedom and the dynamics between individuality and collectivity. It presents an experimental practice for the human body. Here you see a beautiful projection of the dancer. He keeps intentionally changing movement patterns against instinct. This practice seeks to elude gig recognition, which is a pervasive AI technology that tracks human beings by identifying body movements from a distance. Next to the projection, we see a control room-like setting with 8 monitors displaying everyday footage captured by Yin Sui-fang with a mobile phone. These subtle movements of passers-by expressed a sense of freedom in public spaces and inspired Yin to develop the work Against Step. Passing by the control room, we enter Ethan Zhang's multimedia installation, consisting of 3 new works. Here, it's like you're sitting in the living room, leaving the TV on but not really watching it. First, you see the artwork pleco, which is this pleco fish sticking onto the fish tank, feeding on algae. Every breath is so clear. It's almost like you can touch its inner organs. Is this a precarious state or carefree state? I guess you might all have different answers. Across from pleco, but from a distance, you will see the other work, Pump. It displays a constant supply of oxygen, but coming across fragmented monitors. These 2 works evoke the frustration of all the attempts to replace face-to-face interactions with virtual solutions, satirically also including the video you're watching. Suddenly, the silence created by Pump and pleco are interrupted by this other work, this huge projection of wormhole. Wormhole refers to a speculative structure linking different points in space-time. Here, Ethan used a mini industrial drill and a piece of acrylic sheet to visualize the concept and created this really mesmerizing video. I could really sit here and watch this over and over. Will this drill break us free from all the barriers, or is it going to lead us back into another loop? You will have to come here and find out yourself. After wormhole, we will enter Inti Gym, which is our participatory artwork that approach the theme of barrier from a very different perspective. The artist Michelle Chu did a lot of scientific research and street experiments on how to foster deep connections between strangers, and found out that, for instance, having a physical barrier in between strangers makes them feel much safer and comfortable with interacting. So here, she designed a one-on-one interaction station and invites a pair of strangers to enter via different entrances and pass through an increasingly opaque and intimate tunnel. Visitors are then guided by audio through a choreography of senses, including touch, conversation, and eye contact. If you are brave enough to overcome your vulnerabilities and open up, this encounter will reward you with the magic of fleeting intimacy. After coming out of Inti Gym, we enter the second section of the exhibition, bedroom, where our works deal with the vulnerability of intimate relations. Whether it's with other people, oneself, the surroundings, or nature. First, you will see a series of 5 photography light boxes accompanied by a video. This work by Sharon Lee is titled If Tomorrow Never Comes. Sharon invited her family members and closest friends to each submit a keepsake for her to turn into a pinhole camera. Then she took a portrait of each person using this special camera. The exposure time depended on the duration of an intimate conversation where Sharon asked the sitter about future plans. These hours-long conversations turned out to be very vulnerable occasions because they inevitably touched upon topics like migration and other types of partings. Everyone can have their own imagination of the conversations from the keywords that appear and disappear on the surface of the light boxes at their own pace. Passing by the last light box of a journalist friend who mentions many keywords about news and media. Here we see Chloe Chek's new kinetic installation, Stress Test, which talks about how increasing reliance on social media challenge our mental well-being and even physical health. The form is inspired by gym equipment, especially Pilates reformers. You can see 3 belts of fabric constantly being pushed and pulled by forces from different angles. And the sound of the motors also generates a strong sense of tension and anxiety. Next to Stress Test, we have another new work related to fabric, The Remnants of Yesterday by Sharon Lee, which is about the fragility of memories. Sharon noticed that her grandma would flip the same photo album every day, trying to recall the dearest people in her life. So Sharon found the transam, the traditional garment of Chinese women in the first family portrait, from the album and pressed the transam against a thin clay slab. When we get close, we see the super delicate creases of the fabric, even the floral patterns. Sharon then took the porcelain plate into darkroom and developed it into a series of gelatin silver photos. The range of shades echoes her grandma's memory practice. Moving on to this quiet corner, we see Chloe Chek's work, Dependence. It's 2 light bulbs closely facing each other. One light bulb keeps shining, but the other one is disconnected to power. So it seems to depend on the light from the other bulb. When it was made 7 years ago, the work was an allegory of intimate but unhealthy relationships where one person relies on the other so much that he or she loses oneself. Now, in the new COVID context, we could also interpret the work as a comment on shifts in domestic relationships, lack of personal space, and other new sources of vulnerability. Turning the corner, you can see another work about lights, titled Stars, Street Lights by Donnie Zanho. Donnie's paintings often create a poetic and enigmatic world and break down the dichotomy of the natural and the artificial. Here she used charcoal, soft pastel, and pencil to create an image open to interpretations. Are we looking at galaxies or street lights? In the backdrop, are these mountains or city streets? When I stare into this universe, I feel much more than looking at a landscape. Somehow, Donnie's works always manage to touch the soft spots of my heart. On the left, there is also another painting called Reflective Lake, which comes from the playful idea of painting a lake in matte black, 2 almost incompatible ideas. As matte black is usually a symbol of modernity, often seen in cityscapes. The surface is non-reflective, but it does offer a mirror to the viewer's mind. The final work in the bedroom is this stop-motion animation Sparkling Fountain by Jess Lau Qinghua. Jess spent a really long time taking apart many ready-made star-shaped cloth patches until they all turned into dust. With this process, she imagined a fountain of stars, sparkling and bursting with wishes. But the act of tearing the stars apart feels almost violent. The contrast between the violent act and the innocent symbolism of the cloth patches create a very strong emotional and visual impact. The cosmic references in this work also gently reminds us of the transience of everything in life, whether they are as trivial as a piece of cloth or as grand as the stars and planet. Now we are back at the entrance of the exhibition. Let's take a loudspeaker, leave the building, past Prison Yard, and go to JC Cube to find the hidden tracks of the exhibition. So here we are at JC Cube, looking for the hidden tracks of this exhibition. Two works both respond to the current emigration wave in Hong Kong. First, you can see a video collage by Yim Sui-fong called Their Apartments. She visited a lot of friends and found empty apartments in Hong Kong. And then she reconstructed scenes of living behind a place and seeking a new life ahead. This work also sets the mood for the next work, Stair Mass, we're about to see right now. The work Stair Mass is situated in this really beautiful JC Cube staircase. People usually use it as an exit after attending an event in the auditorium. But Yim Sui-fong really likes the space because of the geometric shapes and also the acoustics here. So she's decided to add this site-specific installation to turn the whole space into a playground. You can already hear a song called The Last Supper, which is a mass song by Irish composer Bernard Sexton. But for Yim Sui-fong, the song is beyond religion. It's about bringing people together and channeling vulnerable sentiments related to partings and farewells. Some versions of the song are sung by immigrants who've already left Hong Kong. You can see their names and their departure date marked here on the loudspeakers. And one version is sung by a cappella group Settlement. I'm sure if you are in the space with me, you would also feel enticed to play around with your friends or maybe with strangers. This concludes the exhibition tour of Emo Gym. Actually, the exhibition team and the artists have also put together a playlist called Emo Gym Staff Picks on YouTube and Spotify. I also hope you can come to visit the exhibition in person and experience the magic of connections yourself. Thank you.